Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. You're listening to Slightly Warped. I'm Rick. I'm joined by Big Show.
What
Show, how is it going?
it was going good till about 15 minutes ago when I couldn't get my computer.
Uh-oh. Oh, there you go.
Put my earbuds in so I can at least hear you.
Okay, gotcha. Let me be the Verizon guy real quick then. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Um, we have a great one for everybody. We pride ourselves on our name. We slightly warped. So we want to give our thoughts on subjects and what we want to do. Sometimes kind of push it to the edge, kind of invoke questions within you guys.
Not
So
us.
that's what we're going to do today.
Roger that.
Um, I know that I gave you three specific topics a couple days ago for the show. I want to work them in reverse order, going
Okay.
from the oldest thing to the newest thing, because this has been out here for quite a while, and it's the women that went into space 2 weeks ago. Um, and I'm of several minds on several different things on it. Uh, First things first, I want to talk about the fact that them as a whole went into space and the label that was put upon them as astronauts. And I know the first group of people prepare to get mad, but this is my take. You're not an astronaut. You went to the Kármán line and came back down. It's not a male thing or a female thing. Anybody that went up and came right back down, you're not an astronaut. You haven't had the training. You haven't gone deep enough into space. It's just, no, you're not. Where do you stand on that, show?
So before I give my answer, okay.
Mhm.
Um, your definition of astronaut is you have to go through training.
Not necessarily training, but I feel like you have to do something in space in order to be considered an astronaut. I mean, let me just look up and this is the actual definition of an astronaut. And I could be right or wrong because I'm about to find this right now. Never looked it up before. And there it is. All right. So the definition of astronaut, a person who is trained to travel in space.
I see. So you're telling me they had absolutely no training. They just got into a vehicle. They woke up on a Tuesday, jumped in this rocket, went up there and came down,
No, listen to the second part. A person who is trained to travel in space.
which
Did
is what
they
they did.
travel?
Yeah,
Did
they
they go into
traveled
space?
from Earth. They traveled from the Earth to the space and back down. Now, do I technically call them astronauts? No.
I
But,
feel like they were passengers in the
okay,
capsule.
but every astronaut is a passenger in the capsule. Nobody flies that thing.
Well, nowadays, no, you're right because yeah, it,
Back in the
it,
60s, they didn't fly it.
that is also true. But those guys did have a certain degree more control.
How are
Um,
they going to have more control in the 60s than they do now?
I think everything is more computer based, and they have so many different subroutines and intricacies that
I mean,
they don't have to do as much now.
they could maneuver the lunar module when it's actually in space, going from space station or to the moon or whatever. However, nobody's flying that rocket from here off the ground. That's all computerized.
Okay, so we're gonna lay it out to you guys because we want to hear it from y'all. Are they astronauts, or would you consider them something else? Drop us a
However,
comment and let us know.
the illusion? No, they are.
No, I mean,
However, however, um, I agree with you. They are not astronauts. They are publicity. Uh, stunt people. Is basically what it is. And did they technically go to outer space? Nah, no. They probably went to the curvature, or if you're in your religious mode, they went to the affirmament and came back down.
Yeah. Now you mentioned publicity. There was one big piece of publicity that also came out. I guess the restaurant chain Wendy's
Uh-huh.
had. Are you familiar with what they put up the meme when Katy
Uh-uh.
Perry came out and kissed the ground?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, they put up a meme of Katy Perry kissing the ground, and it started this whole uh war between Wendy's and Katy Perry. And it said, "Can we send her back?" Now, yeah, I laughed just like you did, but here's my thing. Oh, why is Wendy's entering the chat? You're not even in the top three of burger chains right now. So, stick to that for a minute before you talk about Katy Perry. And I know I thought it was funny that she kissed the ground too, but then I thought of it. I'm 55 years old. If I get on a roller coaster right now, I might be inclined to kiss the ground when I get back down because
But here's the thing,
that's just not my thing.
you're 55 years old, you ain't getting on a roller coaster,
That's true. That's
right?
very true.
So
Yeah.
we ain't getting in no rocket.
Yeah.
I
Um,
consider them as much an astronaut as I consider the guys that are passengers on the Blue Angels when they get to go up there and with the guys in the airplanes and doing that. That's about, about the same. They're no more a pilot than they are the astronaut. It was such a boring story that I hardly even paid any attention.
it is interesting, and I closing this portion out. I know a lot of people said that does great things for women. No, it didn't. It didn't do anything. These little girls out here that want to be an astronaut, they don't dream of just going up and coming down. They dream of actually doing things. So let's not take that away from them, and let's not demean anything at all, because
I don't
women have
think it
gone into space and done much more.
Yeah, I don't think it helped or hurt. It's just a big whoop. It's no
The
different than the
common
dude that
denominator is they're all rich. They all
it's
paid
no
for this flight.
yeah, it's no different than that dude that parachuted from that high. Did that
Oh
free
yeah.
free jump, it's
Was
just
it
for
was it
Red
like a
Bull or
halo
whatever.
jump?
Yeah, for Red
Yeah.
Bull.
Hey, more power to them. They did something amazing, but let's keep it in proportion.
I wouldn't even say it was amazing.
Well,
I
it'd be
mean,
amazing if you get me up there because first of all,
you
you got to get me in the capsule, and that ain't gonna happen.
if you get on a bus and travel from Kansas City to Dallas, is that amazing? No, it really isn't. I mean, you know what I mean? So it's like they didn't do anything special but get in the vehicle. But I get it.
Hey,
it would probably be cool to experience in a lifetime, but I just have no desire to do so.
real talk. Are you familiar with the A team?
With the A team?
Yeah,
Like I pity the fool A team?
yeah. Uh-huh. In order
Yeah.
to get me up there, you got to knock me the fuck out like B.A. Baracus.
Yep. He didn't like to fly.
Nope. All right, so let's talk about Shay Shay for a minute.
Man.
Shannon Sharpe. Okay, I believe you, me, and our good friend Kevin Manning, we were kind of in our group chat when shortly after the story broke and we were talking about it.
Yep, and you and
And
Kevin were on Shannon's side right away.
yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. We kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt, and then more stuff came out. Uh, the long and short of it is, if you don't know, Shannon Sharpe is being accused of sexual allegations, and he's being sued for $50 million in a civil lawsuit for sexual assault and battery. And a lot of stuff has come out in the last couple of days. And he did lose his position at ESPN. Not that I feel bad for him because he's still got his podcast, et cetera, et cetera. But
Technically, he did not lose his position with ESPN.
it's just put on hold then.
He's on hiatus, and he said
Okay,
he will be back at the beginning of the NFL season.
interesting. Um, Either way though, um, wow. You know, I knew she was younger than him, but isn't he 56?
Yeah,
And she
56,
was
57. I think she was 19 when they met.
wow. Okay. Everything Monique said was right.
I mean, everything Monique said, everything Cat Williams said on the show. I mean, Cat even told him that's why he doesn't date white girls because he's a rich black man. You know,
But you know what? I don't want to make this into a black white thing. So many people have done that.
but you have to because that is part of the equation.
That is, but as somebody who's married to someone who's white, no, it's not like that across the board.
No,
And
it's
so
not
I'm
across
just
the
going to get
board,
that out
but
there. Now,
if
this
you look
space.
at, hold on though, look at Shannon Sharpe and his deal.
Hmm.
Look at Bill Cosby and his accusers,
Hmm.
white women.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of prominent rich black men that get accused of that because they see their meal ticket. That has to be part of the equation. Is that the reason that this happened? I don't believe so. I tend to think that Shay Shay has a type. He has a fetish, and
Right there, you hit that on the head. Has a type, and it's come back to bite him.
yep,
It'll probably be no more than a slap on the wrist. He'll pay a lot of money, not 50 million though, but he'll pay a lot of money. Um,
depends if it's true or not. If it's not true, it'll settle out of court.
but here's the thing. Oh, the only two people right now, two people in God know if it's true or not.
True, but for him to just settle it to go away, in my opinion,
That's a bad
it
look right there.
right. Uh, that would tell me that it was true. If it actually goes to court and there's a mediation and all that crap, I would tend to side with him. But I mean, we cannot overlook just because we like his online personality, the um, severity of the accusations. We have to not automatically victim blame and just sit back and wait for the facts to come out. We never thought R. Kelly was as guilty as he was. We never thought P. Diddy was as guilty as he was. We never thought Bill Cosby was as guilty as he was. And here we are. We never thought Michael Jackson was as guilty as he was. So we just have to
I'm
sit
I'm
back and
I'm
let it
gonna
all
I'm
out.
gonna separate Michael Jackson from the others that you mentioned because
Why? Because they
uh
weren't women.
no, because he wasn't convicted. The others were. So not saying Mike wasn't guilty. I'm just
P.
saying
Diddy
that
wasn't convicted of sexual assault,
trust me, he's about to be.
but he's not.
He's still in the clink. If you're in the joint
So is
this
R.
long,
Kelly, but that doesn't mean anything. So is Bill Cosby. Well, no, Bill Cosby's out.
R. Kelly got convicted. They gave him a sentence and everything.
Right,
So
but not of for every charge that he's been accused of.
not of every charge, but what I'm saying is Jackson never spent 1 minute in jail. So
That doesn't
um,
mean he's innocent, bro.
no,
That just
no, I
means
said
he
that.
paid.
I said that.
He just means he paid for them to shut up and move on. He's still guilty. He still did it.
He could be, and I said
A
that he could
pedophile's a
be.
pedophile, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, he just
I
happened to have
still,
more money than Jared from Subway.
I still like his
Um,
music. Exactly. I still like his music, but you know,
but
I still like R.
and
Kelly's music.
Yeah, Kel's had some good music, no mistake about it. Now, I think Diddy is going to be made an example of. I don't know if you know or not, but he's recently, because up until this week, he had been claiming innocence, and now he's pleading insanity. So, what?
That's funny to me.
How's he gonna be in the joint for a couple months and then decide, you know what? I'm insane. Uh, they, I don't know if this is a lawyer move, if this is a desperation move, but I think they are trying to get him, and the
Yeah,
reason why it's taken so long is because they are trying to line up indisputable evidence, and they are trying to hit him hard.
I agree and disagree. I don't think that's what's holding him up because if they want him in prison, he's going to be in prison regardless. Because
True,
he's
true.
not the puppet master.
Mm, that's a good way to look at it.
He's just a puppet.
But back to Sharp because that's who we're are originally talking about in this
And
segment.
Sharp is a puppet.
Do you think so?
Yeah, he's all part of. They're all lumped in the same thing, man. They're all lumped into the same category. Now, I will issue a formal apology if this comes out that this is unequivocally false charge. But normally, 9 times out of 10, when there's smoke, there's
There's
fire.
fire, and I'm gonna say this: even if he's found innocent, I mean, you heard the phone call, or at least whatever they wanted to play it for the public, the phone call. He's not blaming himself.
Yeah,
He's
but
not.
see, even on that phone call,
Hmm.
I tend to I don't like take that as, oh my God, that's a dairy. I mean, it
Yeah,
does hurt, but with the AI out there and you see these videos with actors' voices and it's really not them talking, it's the AI talking, you never really know. You never ever really know in this day and age.
hey, for half of a second, I once considered having Morgan Freeman introduce us on the show.
See, that'd be awesome. But I think that women in general do not want to be looked at as a victim. So for a female to come out and say he choked the shit out of me, he raped me, that's not a look that they want to have,
Yeah.
you know, in my humble opinion. Now, are there some crazy women out there? Of course there are. But it's not like she needed the money. She was an OnlyFans star. That's how he found her.
Again, going back to what you said earlier, he has a
It's a
type,
fetish. Yeah, he's got a
and
fetish.
I think until he gives up this type, he might be in the same situation or something similar.
Well,
I
he
mean,
shouldn't have to give up his fetish. He shouldn't have to give up his type. Just don't do the bad behavior.
okay, here's my thing, and this is, you might find this related or not.
Uh-huh.
Several months ago, we thought, not we, you, me. I mean, I don't know your thoughts yet, not mine either, but public opinion was he might have been playing for the other team. Then that phone thing came out, and the first thing some people questioned was it placed there to throw people off, or does he be doing things like that all the time? And now we're at where we are now. What are your
Maybe,
thoughts on that?
maybe he plays for both sides.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own, I guess. Um, man, until this recent thing came out, I was of the mind of, I think that phone thing was a plant, not necessarily to throw people off, but may, uh, maybe he just wanted those quote unquote rumors to stop. But, in light of things that are happening now, and again, for the third time, you hit it on the head. He has a type, and it's it's wild.
I
age.
don't.
Age has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, I honestly
Because
thought that when that video came out that it was a publicity stunt just to get more clicks on his shows. I didn't think it was
I didn't even think
you
about
know
that. Yeah.
nothing to. I mean, look how Kim Kardashian blew up after her sex tape. Look how Pamela Anderson blew up after her crap. So that's how
Yeah.
I took it.
I agree. I agree. It's going to be interesting what happens in court with this. We might have to follow up on Shay
If
Shay.
it if it goes to
If
court,
it goes that, yeah, if it goes that far. I mean, tomorrow they might say they reached a $25 million agreement and you never hear from it again.
if they reach a $25 million agreement, that motherfucker was guilty, without a doubt.
Well, he did offer 10.
Uh, Guilty.
See, that's the thing.
I ain't
If
pay. I ain't writing $10 million if I didn't do it.
you know what? I feel you. But if you sitting on top of 100 million, you might be like, I'll give you 10
That man
and
is
get on
not
my
sitting
case.
on top of a hundred
No, no,
million
not him.
dollars.
Not him.
Yeah. Well, that's who we
But
talking about.
yeah, 50 is gonna put a big hole in his wallet. Now he is about to sign a major deal, or was at the time.
Yeah, he
So
probably lost that.
yeah, pending the outcome. That's why we say probably. It's going to be interesting. And you said that he plans on being back at ESPN by the time the NFL season starts.
That's what his tweet said when he said he was stepping away from ESPN.
Okay.
That he plans to be back at the beginning of football season.
All right. Now, speaking of football season, before we get out of here, I want to talk about the draft.
All right.
It happened again. That's a yearly thing, folks. 32 teams. Everybody gets to make themselves a little bit better than before. We're going to get into the AFC West because that's our division. But real quick, do you have a standout team that you think really did well in the draft
In the West or overall?
overall?
I mean, honestly, I wasn't really paying attention to other teams' draft picks. I was more worried about the West and my team, and then the Shadur Sandals debacle. But I thought the Raiders had a pretty good draft.
Yeah, I mean, that's my squad, and I have more faith in them after the draft than I did, prior to it. But that's because of previous history. I want to see what this new regime can do with what they have, you know, to go further. What do they call it? Cautiously optimistic. That, that's where I am on that.
Yeah,
Uh, I,
I like the way that I like the way their arrow was pointed. Let's just say that.
yeah. Now to contrast that, who I think didn't do very well in the draft, I think Pittsburgh could have did better in the draft, and possibly the Browns.
I think the Browns did okay with getting two quarterbacks. Um, I think they did all right. And
Oh,
that D
I have
tackle
no
they took in
problem
the
with them
first
getting a
round,
couple quarterbacks. I don't think that they needed to give anything up to move them to change positions.
they they didn't. They moved backwards. They didn't move forward.
Okay, so Jacksonville was the one that moved up.
Correct.
Okay, never mind then. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. I thought it was the other way around.
Not
It,
Travis Hunter went to Jacksonville.
that's right. That's right. Jackson. All right, then Jacksonville blew it because I think Travis would have been there 3 picks later.
No, he wouldn't have.
You don't think so?
Hell no.
I'm trying to think who picked after them. I mean, before them.
The, who picked before them was the Tennessee. They picked Cam Ward.
Yeah, Cam Ward. Yeah, yeah. When you think about it, I guess you're right because
Cleveland had the number 5 pick. Um, the Giants had the number 3 pick. So if Cleveland didn't take him, the Giants definitely would have.
I think the Giants did right by going in the direction they went. Now, I want to talk about the AFC. West. Let me start with the Denver Broncos. They gave them a B overall. And I'm just going to go with their first three picks, round one, two, and three. Uh, Jedi Barron, the cornerback from Texas. They placed that as a B minus. RJ Harvey, the running back from UCF. And then Pat Bryant, wide receiver from Illinois. Um, I don't know too much about any of these guys because this is the 20th, the 60th, and the 74th pick. I will say this. They gave Denver a B grade overall, and I see why. Because by putting a running back and a wide receiver, two of those three picks, you're giving your young quarterback some more weapons to work with. And I
Yeah,
can
and they
see Denver's offense becoming a little bit more dynamic soon.
yeah, that running back from UCF, he's pretty decent. And that wide receiver's pretty good because they traded Javonte Williams last or over the offseason. They lost him, so that running back was their replacement for him. I would probably tend to agree that their overall draft was probably a B, B minus.
All right. Now, the Los Angeles Chargers, someone gave them, let me see what they gave them, a B minus. And here's why. Uh, one, two, and three. They had the 22nd pick. Omarion Hampton, the running back out of North Carolina.
Good
Uh,
pick.
Trey Harris, the wide receiver from Ole Miss.
Good
And
pick.
Jamari Caldwell, the defensive line in Oregon.
All
Okay.
right, pick.
I say that's more of a B than a B minus. Now, granted, they're going over the whole,
They're
seven
going through their whole
rounds,
draft. Yeah.
but these first three picks are impressive, and I don't see anything wrong with it. Especially, we talked about it with Denver. You got two of the three are potential weapons for your quarterback.
Yeah,
And,
but those weapons aren't the type of thing that Chargers do. Like
yeah,
the type of players that Denver took that matches their offense. You know, you have a running first team with Chargers.
well, their
So
first pick was a running back, so
exactly.
that's a good pick for them.
The only thing that I say I kind of that running back kind of reminds me of MJD,
Mm,
Maurice
really,
Jones-Drew. Yeah,
the bowling ball.
yeah. Same with your guys' guy. He's more of a comp. They say Marshawn Lynch, but I would say Genty's more of an MJD type player with the size.
Okay, I get that. Um, they do say that quarterback's best friend is a running back or a good run game. So
Yep.
I do like that. And it's no secret. Anybody who's watched this show, listen to me talk, I'm not very high on the Chargers quarterback. He he's good on paper, but you know, every year it turns out to be the same thing.
Herbert's a
And
damn good quarterback. He's just in the wrong system.
you think so? And I
Put
won't
him
disagree with
on.
you. I won't
Put him
disagree with you
on
because the
like
system,
a yeah. Put him on like let's say San Francisco squad. Replace
mm,
him with Brock Purdy, and San
that
Francisco
would be a badass team.
would be a perennial Super Bowl contender every year. Not that they're not already.
You're not wrong about that. Kansas City, you guys got an A minus. Uh,
Yeah, I think we did really good in this draft.
your
Lot of
first
nice ones.
your first three picks, and keep in mind you picked 32nd, originally 31st, but you flip flopped with the Eagles because
Yes.
they did not need a tackle. You did, so you knew they were going to be there. Get something for it. Josh Simmons from Ohio State. Then you got Omar Norman, the defensive lineman from Tennessee. And then Ashton, I want to say it's not Gelat. Is it Gelat or Gelate? The edge rusher from Louisville.
Gelate.
Gelat.
Yes. Yes.
All three of those picks, those guys are beasts. And
Yeah.
we're talking late picks, 32nd, 63, and 66.
Yeah.
So, and your main need was that tackle position.
As long as
Took
he's
care of
healthy.
that immediately.
As long as he's healthy.
Yeah. And I have no
He
doubt
he
under
fell
the
so
Reed system.
far. He fell so far because he had tore his patella tendon last year. So he only played like 6 or 7 games last year. But
I have no
he
doubt
was
that he'll be good.
probably the third highest rated tackle in the draft.
That's a good pick. That is a damn good pick.
Yeah,
Now, the Raiders were graded at an A. And if we look at their first three, obviously we mentioned it. Ashton Genty was the first round pick, the number 6 pick from Boise State. And if they didn't pick him, I probably would be on that darkness retreat. They got Jack Betch, the wide receiver from TCU, and then they got Darian
good pick.
Kinney, cornerback from Iowa State. Um, like I mentioned, they gave him an A, but they rated Ashton Genty as a B plus grade, Betch as an A plus, and Porter as an A plus. I don't believe they got that grade right. I think GT was an A as well. I mean, he was the best quarterback in the draft. Now, a
Running
lot of
back.
people would say running back. Sorry, a lot of people would say you don't want to get a running back that high, but you have to go by need.
I
I feel
wouldn't
like
say
you
he
have to go
was.
by need until you get to the later rounds, and then you go by best available player.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he was the best running back on the board, but he was top three for sure. Because
Well, let
both of
me
those.
clarify, because what I mean by best, I think he'll fit in that Pete Carroll system.
Yeah, well, any one of those Ohio State running backs would have fit in there very well, very nicely as well.
True, true.
So, yeah, but he's definitely was a good pick. Like
Yeah,
as a Chiefs fan, it hurt my heart a little bit to know that we're gonna have to deal with that dude twice a year.
yeah, and I'm gonna say this. Um, with what we had at quarterback, I know we drafted a kid in the later rounds. He's going to be a glorified clipboard holder for a little while. But with what we had at quarterback last year, just to get Geno, I mean, that in and of itself is kind of an upgrade.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's going to have some weapons to throw to. Brock Bowers is no slouch. He's going to have what's the receiver's name? Jacoby Myers to throw to.
Uh,
If they can develop at least one of the two wide receivers that they drafted, I think, Betch could be a starter instantly. So they're going to be good on the offensive side of the ball. I still hold out some reservations for the defensive side of the ball. Plus, offensively, what's the coordinator's name? Used to be the coach for Notre Dame um, and the Eagles. He coached the Eagles too. Chip Kelly. Yes, thank you. Sorry.
oh, okay. He's your guys' coordinator.
Yes, I think just because he's shit for a coach, but he's a great coordinator, and I think because of that, the
Not under
offense will
Pete
be more
Carroll
dynamic.
though. Not under Pete Carroll though. Pete Carroll's a
I
running team first. Chip Kelly's a guy that never wants to go into a huddle.
I think Pete will pull the reins in on that. Um, Pete's more of a defensive mind. He's trying to, and not saying that we will be, but he's trying to make the Legion of Boom again. Uh, that's like trying to paint Picasso again. That can't happen,
Right, right.
but you can
I
get
think I
damn
think you
close.
guys locked in number two in the AFC West this year. Just where you're at right now.
I would take that if it got a playoff spot, but you know,
You'll get a playoff spot. You'll definitely get a playoff spot.
cautiously,
You'll lose in the first round, but
optimistic,
you got one.
cautiously optimistic. That's what I'm going to say. And we'll talk about picks and playoff spots, another day. There's plenty of time for that.
No,
I'm
we're
just
talking about it right now. I just told you my pick.
you talked about it. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic. Let me see what goes on, in training camp and all that. I could have three starters go down with season-ending injuries, and
Do that. I'm
so
surprised y'all didn't pick Shador though. I am surprised, especially how far he fell.
you know, I, and I'm not trying to start anything, but I guess I am, folks. So chime in. I think if we kept the coach that we had last season, I bet you they would have picked up Shador.
He'd have been
I
the
think
sixth pick. He'd have been the
I
sixth number
exactly,
six.
exactly. I think that Pete Carroll knows what he wants, knows what he's doing. He's going in a completely different direction, and that's not a bad thing.
Not at all.
No,
I'm just
I
surprised that you didn't pick him up for later, like fourth round, whatever. I'm surprised.
I just don't think he fits under Carroll's system.
Sure he does.
A- a-
He's a taller version of Russell Wilson.
eh, what would I could see it, but I don't, and we'll let that play out in Cleveland.
But people talking about Shador because of this, that, whatever reasons why. But if you actually look at his play on the field, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he was a beast. I mean, his off schedule throws, his off platform throws, his weird angle throws. He has a cannon for an arm. It's just not necessarily accurate at
And make
times.
no mistake about it, he's going to have a tremendous upside for a while too.
Yeah, I
He's a
just
real
don't. I think you'll find out whatever team picks him up after Cleveland.
it's a good way to put it. You guys let us know what you think. Jump in those comments or leave us a message on email at the
How
Slightly
much time we
Wokeness
got left?
podcast. We have less than a minute.
Less than a minute. Okay. Well, crap. I was gonna do a stuff, what they call a cleaning house type of statement, but I guess we don't have time. Hey, thanks for watching. Love each other. Tomorrow's not promised. See you next week,
And we can clean house next week still.
if I remember.
I'll remind you. I'll write it down now.
Roger that.
You guys take care.